Hi guys, I haven't filmed in a while. I hope you like this look that I have going on here that I created with affordable makeup products, and let's get into the video. I always like starting with my eyebrow. I'm using a spoolie here to brush my eyebrow. Next, I'm going to take the e.l.f. brow lift to set my eyebrow in place. Once I'm satisfied with the way my eyebrow looks, I'm going to take the L'Oreal Faux Brow pen to fill in anywhere there is sparseness in my eyebrow. I don't know why I was laughing there, guys. Once that is done, I'm going to take a concealer. This is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer to highlight my brows. I usually use a concealer that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin tone. All products will be listed in the description box below. After sculpting out my brows, I am going to use a blending brush to buff out the concealer. Next, you're going to use a concealer that is your skin tone, or you can use your foundation to carve out the upper part of your brow. Next, I'll be using the Milani eyeshadow primer to prime my eyelids. You can also use a concealer to prime your eyelids. An eyeshadow primer dries down matte, but if you use a concealer, you're going to need to set it with setting powder. Today, I'm going to use the Amicole Skin Melt Loose Powder in the shade Rich Deep to set where I had applied the concealer. Today, I'm going to use the Makeup Revolution London Reloaded palette. Starting off with my transition shade, I'm going to put this all over my eyelid. Next, I am taking a darker shade and I'll be applying it to my outer V. I am packing on the eyeshadow to build up pigment. I am now going in circular motions to diffuse the shadow. Next, going back with my transition shade in wiper motions to get rid of any harsh lines. Next, I'm going to apply a shimmer shade to the inner corner of my eye. Then going in with the second brush, I am going to blend the two colors together, and also then take the third brush and blend the third color so everything is seamless with no harsh lines. Guys, it's important to take your time in blending. I'm using the Maybelline liquid eyeliner to draw a winged line. You don't really have to do this, but this is just me being extra. Today, I'm going to be using the Ioni Halfling Lashes with the hack that I use for applying falsies. I'll be sure to link the full tutorial. Today, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. And one thing with e.l.f. primers is they are very grippy. So a little goes a long way. For my foundation today, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation in the shade number 53. So I'm applying a little to my hand. I'm not applying directly to my face because I don't want it to be too much. And then I'm using dots to apply it all over my face. When you're applying your foundation, always use a dense brush and then pat it into your face. That is stipple. That is the makeup term that is called stippling. So pat it and work section by section. Don't go all over your face randomly. Make sure everything rhymes cohesively. So always remember to also your ears and your neck. Blend everything to be seamless. I'm going to be using two concealers today. The Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 60 and the L'Oreal True Match in the shade N8. I'm going to use the Maybelline 50 to cover my dark circles before I apply the True Match under my eyes, forehead, chin, and Cupid's bow. I really didn't want to do a voiceover, but my son was in the room. He had the TV on and he just wasn't listening to me today. So I hope you guys don't mind this voiceover. Guys, can you count the number of times I said and then? And also today I am going to. So taking another buffing brush, I'm going to blend the concealer. When you're blending your concealer, always make sure you start blending from the outer part to the inner part and not from the inner to the outer. Once all of the concealer has been blended, take your foundation brush and blend out all the harsh lines. We do not want to see any harsh line. The concealer needs to flow into your foundation. When we use foundation, our face loses all dimension. That is why we use a concealer to brighten the face, and then we use a bronzer or a contour to bring back dimension. Today I will be using the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Bronzer and Contour or Bronzer. When applying your bronzer, you want to apply it from the tip of your ear just to below your cheekbones. You're also going to apply it to your forehead. When applying to your forehead, push it towards your hairline and also applying it to your jawline. By applying the bronzer to your jawline, it gives you an illusion of a snatched jaw. When blending your bronzer contour, always make sure you blend it upwards and not downwards, or else it's going to give your face the appearance of sagging. I'm also applying it to my nose too. Once again, using my foundation brush to blend out harsh lines. I'll be using my e.l.f. Putty Blush in the shade Fiji. I am not applying it directly to my face, but tapping it on my hands before I apply it to my face. I like applying my blush on my cheeks and then a little bit towards my hairline. Going back with my foundation brush and blending out any harsh lines. Next, taking my e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray, I spray it all over my face to melt all the creams in place. The next step is setting our face with powder. Before you set your under eye, pat out any creases with your brush. I will be using the Amicole loose powder to set everywhere I applied the concealer. When using your setting powder, always pat out the excess powder. Better to have little and then build on it than applying too much. Next, I'm going to take the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer in the shade Butter Than You and apply it to everywhere we applied our bronzer. Please note that this bronzer is super pigmented, so a little goes a long way. For my blush, I'm going to use the NYX Buttermelt Blush in the shade Sooner Than Butter and apply it everywhere we applied our cream blush. Guys, when applying powder, always tap out the excess on your brush. For the rest of my face, I am going to use the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in the shade 375, using a fluffy brush to swirl it all over my face in a circular motion. And now back to my eyes. I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible 16-Hour Eyeliner to tightline my waterline, and then also going back into my Revolution eyeshadow palette to smudge my lower lash line. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Lash Extender for my lower eyelashes. And now I used the Milani Make It Last Matte Setting Spray to set my whole makeup in place. My lips, I decided to keep it simple. I used the e.l.f. Cream Glide Lip Liner in the shade Dark Cocoa and also the e.l.f. Glow Reviver Lip Oil in the shade Mauve. For highlighter, I am using this Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome highlighter. I used it in my brow bone, my cheeks, and my Cupid's bow. I decided that I wanted the inner corners of my eyes to be a little bit brighter, and so I used this Wet n Wild Hello Halo highlighter. Now, you don't have to do this. It's just me being extra. And so we have come to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial on affordable makeup. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.